Hello, everybody.
Yo.
We are back with the MARZ live stream. Um, if I don't breathe in my mic, I just was talking about that and I did it. I'm not sure if I like this setup or not. I bought this thing just for this, specifically for this. Welcome. Already have some chats in the chat.
Oh my gosh. You pull it up for me.
Oh yeah, Corey wants to see.
I want to see.
We got a yo from Mortimer.
Hello, Mortimer.
Welcome. Be doing some continuation of last week's stream. I'm frozen again. Oh my gosh.
Oh
This
no.
is lovely. I'm sorry, guys. It's always a technical endeavor here.
There's a lot of pieces of hardware and software working together to make this happen. There are 2 computers, I guess 2 cameras right now, 3 displays, and a couple audio interfaces.
Yeah.
Or I guess 3 audio interfaces, really. There's a lot of things happening, and there's a lot of potential points where software gets grumpy talking to itself.
I've been having problems with this cam link. And then my capture card, I think it's something to do with me maxing out the bandwidth of the USB ports on this computer.
That makes sense.
Because I hadn't been using the capture card with the ATEM at the same time. See, NDI solves all my problems.
Right. So it's an issue of even though they're like distinct ports, they're connected somewhere downstream.
I think it's a USB bandwidth thing. But the USB ports have a bandwidth just like a network does, right. Where if you max it out, you drop something.
Yeah, I run into that running stuff off of hubs pretty often. If you ever plug your wireless mouse dongle into a USB hub that you're got a big hard drive on,
right?
Start transferring data and your mouse starts stuttering. That's why I have a Bluetooth mouse now, because I got sick of that happening at home.
Well, I'm back now. All I have to do is unplug it and plug it back in, and it seems to work for a bit. So feel free to yell at us in the chat if I freeze again, because I'm going to be focusing mostly on Blender today while we continue our project from last week. So what we are working on is setting up a scene to essentially do a basic animation and add Foley to it. So we're kind of going through that process, and just showing you kind of our workflow and what working on a project like this would kind of look like. Super simple stuff for the most part. I'm not doing anything extremely complex here, but we might as well get right into it, because last time we hit our 2 hours pretty quick.
Pretty quick, yeah. On my side of things, to recap, because you can see pretty easily what Jay did in the last
stream. Yeah. If we transition over to
seeing it. What I have going on is while Jay was creating the scene, I was making some potential background music, as the whole scene hadn't really been that developed. It looks like there's a lot of things in there, but a lot of those things are duplicated items, and so those didn't appear until later on the stream. And so now that I see that there's some objects that might get interacted with, I'm going to start thinking about Foley stuff, and either collecting sounds or recording some of my own. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, actually. It just occurred to me that we have dishes.
Yep.
So I actually might walk down to the kitchen and grab some dishes and actually make some recording.
Oh yeah, I guess I could. I've got the wireless cam set up too. If you wanted to break away and do a quick demonstration of that, we can
I can bring it back here. I think it's fine. I think it works just fine in here.
Trying to find any excuse to use the wireless camera.
I mean, you're welcome to chase me down there, into the terrifying, grungy kitchen.
Oh yeah, we've given tours before.
It's true. Y'all know what it looks like. So anyways, yeah. So this is what I'm thinking about, is as Jay's getting ahead on this thing, I'm looking at what's in the scene and thinking about what might get interacted with.
Sorry about that. Get that out of the way here.
So I see dishes, I see some doors that may get walked through, I see a floor that might get stepped on, I see some probably vinyl seats that might get sat upon. Those things all have sounds. And I'm like looking around the office right now, being like, what do we have around here that like sounds like those things, you know? This is the job of the Foley artist. You don't have to go find the actual real thing. And in this case, there is no actual real thing. We just find something that's close enough. We got a vinyl couch over there that I think would be perfect. Maybe a little squishy. But I'm thinking about pulling my field recorder out.
There you go. Do you have it out there?
I do.
Nice.
So this is my H1N that I think I mentioned the story of how I acquired this on this on the stream, but my friend was a guest on a podcast and they sent him 2 of these to record his part of the interview with, and they didn't ask him to send them back. So he gave me one. So here it is.
Nice.
Thanks, Matt. They're pretty sweet. Put it on its little tripod. And yeah, so these things are rad. They're little stereo field recorders. These are awesome for anytime you want to capture something that has a sense of depth about it. A lot of times sound effects make sense to have in mono. But you can always, well, not always. You can pretty much always like take the stereo recording from this and just use one of the 2 sides. Because remember, a stereo recording is just 2 mono recordings, one on the left and one on the right. So if you're recording anything that you think might want to contain some room sound or just like a vibe of a space or place, stereo is your friend. There are other more mono-compatible stereo recording modes that you could use if you had access to those. That's why the fancier Zooms have mid-side mode and that kind of thing. But we don't have that here. We just have basic stereo. So I've talked a lot, but I'm looking at these dishes and I see they look like, you know, just kind of like whatever, porcelain. I see like a big plate, small plate, cup, probably like silverware if any of this is going to get interacted with, you know.
Oh yeah, I gotta make some silverware. Huh?
You gotta.
I gotta.
So, you know, it's
Sorry.
like cloth napkin, right? Like there's all these things. And so like not everything in this room is going to get touched and make a noise. So I'm like, you know, like I'm not necessarily going to go crazy right now and record all those things because I don't really know what Jay's plan is for this scene. You know, like you generally like would have some sort of
we'd have a storyboard and like a you know, something written out at least.
Sure.
But
I'm like assuming like somewhat, you know, like I'm making some assumptions here, but like I know that a character is going to exist in the scene. So the character is probably not going to fly into the diner. The character is probably going to walk in. I assume. I could be wrong. Maybe we're doing like a thing with like a fly buzzing around a restaurant and I'm going to need to get some fly sounds. I don't know.
I'm kind of cheating here. You'll see why.
It's the back.
So,
like, yes,
if you look through the window here, it looks like it's a kitchen, but it's really not.
Tight.
So, kind of a little cheat. I'll probably do the same for the outside as well, because I don't see us going. Like, there's no point. I could go in here and model the whole kitchen, but if our characters don't go in there, like, there's not really much of a reason to. I could do some really basic models or something, but for the most part, this is, you know, if I look at it from, you know, where we'd probably see it, like, this is fine. It looks almost like it's 3D. You know, you kind of got that parallax kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
So it's already, you know, and as long as I can't see, you know.
As long as you don't get too far off of like the viewing angle that where you can like see that you should be able to see the side of something that you can't see.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like then it's not a big deal, I would think.
Oh, right. Like I can't see, like maybe if I get way over here, I can see that way. But...
Yeah, like that faucet starts to look a little suspect or something. But you know, like you're not getting the wrong viewing angle on any of those appliances, you know, like it's all fine. I would think that this is, I mean, you know that we all see stuff where like they spend the time and effort to actually model this sort of thing. But like, again, it like super doesn't matter. And I would guess that like anytime that you're not noticing that it's modeled, it's probably not, you know, like I would think anyways. I mean, I guess I don't really know, but
So Mortimer brought up a good point about taking into account the type of material that's on the floor as well.
Oh yeah, for footsteps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah. This is super essential. We're so attuned to the sound of different materials because we walk around on different stuff all the time. And like if you think about like what our ears are for and what our brains are for, they're like we're trying to like get information about the world around us. And what's the most relevant thing about the world around us from sound wise? It's like what's happening around us, right? And so we're just like super tuned into like sounds of motion and these kinds of details about like what kind of surface the motion is occurring on, like conveys a lot of important information to us, and so we're really good at picking that stuff up. So yeah, if I'm sitting on carpet right now, if I recorded my footsteps on carpet, it's probably not going to sound right. If I record my footsteps on on the concrete floor next to us, it might sound a little more right, but it's not going to sound quite right either. Because those surfaces have different acoustic properties. It has a lot to do with how hard they are. So you can sort of like think about like interacting with something soft like a pillow sounds different than interacting with something hard like a piece of plastic. And so like thinking about how like if you don't know the material but you can think about like is it hard or soft, that's like a pretty good basic question to ask yourself about the materials interacting. The other piece of the equation, Mortimer, is what kind of shoes are being worn by the character, right? Because if I'm barefoot on this linoleum, it's going to sound pretty different than if I'm wearing like a suit of armor or something. Where you're going to have like clanking sounds on the floor everywhere.
Totally.
So a professional Foley studio has, I mentioned this in class the other day, but a professional Foley studio has all these things on hand. Different pieces of flooring of different kinds of surfaces, different shoes in the size that the Foley artist can wear. Because you're not hiring walking talent, probably. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. I don't think. Maybe in the upper echelons, the Foley recordist and the Foley performer becomes the distinct roles. But I think for the most part, it's like people are recording themselves making the sounds. Because you want control over it. As the Foley artist, I'm watching the action and I want complete control over that sound, all aspects of it.
Right.
How the mic is positioned, or first off, what the sound is that's being made, what mic I've chosen, and how the mic is positioned in relation to the sound, how the sound is actually performed. So I think about things like stuff that you never notice, like books opening, like people taking a jacket off, like footsteps across the floor. If those things don't synchronize with the action, they sound wrong. And we are really good at knowing when they sound wrong. That being said, there's a lot of what's right is a very broad target, Kind of like with this, what's right for your background there is you can use a 2D image and it's fine. You know what I mean? So sometimes what's right for the it doesn't need to be like the perfect best sound in the world. It just needs to be good enough to convince or to not pull us out of what's happening. Like a bad sound is going to distract you from what you're watching. Straight up.
Oh, yeah. So interesting how you could get armor sounds if you don't have an actual armor set. Yeah, with, you use what's around you to kind of imitate that. It's like if your character wore chainmail, you could probably get a thing of silverware and sort of just shake the silverware to make it kind of sound like with the footsteps or whatever, to sound like a clanking metal together kind
Totally.
of thing.
Yeah. And a Foley studio might just have like a box full of weird metal junk. And just like springs and pieces of cloth, different kinds of cloth in different sizes, just like having a bunch of stuff. Because it's really about, you're making the sound of stuff. You're a stuff artist.
Speaking of not matching up with style, I've been looking for it's weird to get an angle looking out of a place.
Right.
So I don't know if I like this one or not. I'd have to tile it because it's not long enough.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things is like I could, if I really was going all out with this, I would make my own scene out here. The outside I would probably do, like the kitchen's one thing, like it's going to be a wall and stuff.
Yeah.
But the outside, like you're going to have layers, there's going to be,
Yeah.
your distance and
You might model
whatnot,
his cars, model a few trees, and then have a static background further out.
yeah, for the mountains or something,
Yeah.
you could do like a more static background.
Uh-huh.
But I was,
You see this in video games all the time.
Oh,
like
definitely.
super common technique to like, I mean, and the further back you go in time, the less detail is in these areas until they are just like this, like fully 2D, like outside
so I think
exteriors.
for sake of time, I'm just going to use this one and duplicate it. It won't look the best, but we can what I can do is when we go to add a camera, I can just add depth of field to it, and essentially that will just blur out the background, and you won't really be able to
There you go.
tell.
That makes sense. So I wanted to say too, on the note of like the suit of armor sounds, just one last thought is like there's, when you're trying to make the sound of suit of armor, it's like, I personally have never actually heard someone walk around in a full suit of armor. Like, I don't think, like maybe a long time ago, but like I don't have a recollection of that. And so like I don't actually have a real frame of reference in my mind for what an actual suit of armor sounds like when it's being walked around in. So like you may look up, like if you're not sure what something sounds like, you try and find a recording of it, But also there's what something sounds like and there's what we think it should sound like. And those are two different things. And so there's like this whole language of the Foley design, the audio recording, all that stuff that like we use, like I like to bring up the example of like punches is a really, really big one where like the sound of someone being punched in a movie has absolutely nothing to do with the sound of someone being punched in real life, except for they are short and synchronized to the action of punching. But yeah, they're huge sounding, they're enormous, and it's like a sort of technique that like a real punch never sounds like that, but a punch mic'd a certain way might. And a punch mic'd a certain way and reinforced with some like someone hitting a cantaloupe or something like that, like might get you even closer. So yeah, paying attention to like the real thing you're referencing, and then also what the like idiom is, or the vocabulary of like what you're doing, like because there is like listeners already and viewers already have some expectation of what that punch is going to sound like. And if you don't meet that expectation, it might be weird.
So let's see. I don't have any windows on that side or the back side here of this building, so I can get away with sort of building a kind of a mock-up of the outside. So we've kind of set the time. There's two moons. We've set the time of day now, so there's a little bit more info for you, Cory.
Right.
It's evening now.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to match these colors. I could actually use the parking lot itself, but I want to take a color here, and I'm gonna disconnect that.
So so now I have this cue of like, okay, evening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start gathering some stuff. So like if this was a professional Foley studio, we probably have a library of sounds already. That we might, like evening outside the diner, we probably recorded that 15 years ago. And we've been recycling the same sound in everything we've ever used it in. You know what I mean? Like that's how this works. So I probably have in my live library some field recordings that might work for this. I'm gonna see if any of them do. And if not, we'll move forward from there.
Mortimer suggested some cricket sounds.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's the first thing that comes to mind. So exactly, boom, the cricket sounds, nighttime. Like that's an association we have. So like, do you always hear crickets at night? No, but like, that's a clear sign to the listener / viewer that like it conveys the concept of nighttime and reinforces it. So like, yeah, always a great idea. So here I have a file called. Well, I'm just going to search for crickets and see if I find anything. This thing is called Crickets by the Beach.
Oh. Does that mean they're sandy?
Well, I don't know. You guys hearing that?
Yeah, we can hear it.
I don't hear.
You can hear the crickets?
Well, I don't hear any ocean.
Oh, okay.
Or if I do, it's really quiet.
It's like wind, maybe.
Yeah, and I'm cool with like a little like like I want noise. You know what I mean? Like what I don't want is noise that sounds like it's uncanny, right? Like maybe this diner's near the beach though. Like it kind of looks like maybe it is actually. Do you know? Like it seems like maybe there's some water in the background of that.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Kind of. Yeah.
I don't know.
Why not?
But maybe it's not. Maybe it's just indistinct, whatever. So anyways, what I'm doing is here, I've got this is a habit that I have in Ableton when I just want to gather a bunch of sounds and I don't know what I want to do with them yet.
The title of the video is supposed to be Blender animation with Foley. Yeah, not with Cory. Well, I mean, we can do.
I've
I got a question if the title was supposed to say with Cory instead of with Foley. But,
I have asked Jay to do another scan of my head and make me the character in the scene.
Yeah.
We'll see if that happens. So, I don't know if anyone's interacted with me on social media anywhere. I've changed my picture pretty much everywhere to a funny 3D scan of my head that Jay made a while back.
I just realized why I'm now picking up myself breathing in this mic is because before I was wearing my mask.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate pop filter.
It's crazy how much it actually sounds better with my mask on because I'm not breathing into the mic every 2 seconds.
I do. I don't know if y'all can hear it at home, but I definitely hear a tonal difference. You sound muffled.
A little more muffled.
Not unintelligible by any means, but more muffled for sure. Anyways, the thing I was doing is here in session view in Ableton, I'm just like chucking audio files that I think might be useful into a container track. Like the track might even be muted. I don't plan on doing anything on this track. I'm just using it to store things I might want. Yeah, so I found some crickets. Let's see if there's anything called parking lot.
Parking lot. I wanted to try to find a different angle here, but
Hotel parking lot.
it's hard to find anything that matches.
That's perfect. Some other, so I've got a handful of parking lot sounds. These are all coming out of a field recording sample pack that I downloaded a while back free from a company called Cymatics. These are all free sounds, blah, blah, blah. I'm just I don't have anything in my samples folder tagged diner. What about restaurant? Tonal, one shot. Oh, hey, one. This does not sound much like a restaurant to me.
Doesn't sound like a restaurant.
Well, I mean,
Sound like
kind
music.
of sounds like a fun restaurant. Okay, so let's just see. Diner. So here I am on freesound.org, my favorite resource for this.
Yeah.
Small town, small diner. I like it when people tell you the mic's positioning. That's kind of handy. Or small town, small diner, recorded with a Sennheiser shotgun. That's kind of nice. Wow, there are a ton of files in here. Let's just listen to a few. Diner interior Atmos. This one is labeled. This is an 11-minute long recording.
Wow.
And we don't hear this.
Where's my son?
So first off, this recording is awful.
I couldn't hear anything.
You're not getting
Playing
that?
something? Oh, well, I'm frozen again. Well, I'm having loads of lovely technical difficulties. How come nobody yelled at me that I was frozen?
How come you're not getting this? Because it's coming out the Scarlet.
Oh, I can see it. Oh, maybe
I
I'm
definitely
monitoring
hear
it?
this. I hope.
Oh, sorry guys. Not seeing anything right now. You can still hear us though. There's Cory. Do it one more time.
Oh, the sound.
Yeah. Oh, I'm hearing something. It's just quiet, I think.
Yeah, this one's pretty quiet. Here's a loud one. Sorry, that takes a minute to load. These files are huge. Oh, this
Okay.
one's a flap. Okay, you got
That
that.
was, yeah, I did hear that one.
Great. Okay, so we're picking diner sounds. This one I picked like had some crazy like low end rumble. Like it sounded like either like the sound of some terrible sounding lights or like electrical noise. Or like some like whining equipment. This is like a busy diner though. Like I don't see many people here. If there are a bunch of characters all interacting and moving around, maybe we choose that sound, but like that's way too much. So I just want like the sound of this interior without people moving around, if possible. Or like, you know, like I'm hoping for like, yeah, muffled thing.
Hold on, I gotta fix your... I fixed Corey's picture right here.
What's wrong with my picture?
You're just like a little off to the side. There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah. No, you were good. I moved it.
No, I'm just messing with you. Okay, so this one sounds kind of crazy, but hear me out real quick. This is gonna get mixed in really quietly. And so like imagine if you heard this sound much quieter. Here, I can't really, or here, I can't turn it down. Check this sound out, but like imagine if this was quiet and like this could be the sound of like the people in the kitchen talking while some equipment was running. Right? Like all that stuff feels distant enough to me that like it's not going to be weird if I don't see it. And I think this is what I'm gonna go with.
Nice.
Diner kitchen. We'll make a couple tweaks to it once we get it into a place where we're gonna use it. So download these sounds are Creative Commons licensed. You can use them for all kinds of things. You gotta give them attribution if you use them for a public thing. For a released thing, but since we're just doing an educational stream, we are good to go here. So I'm just gonna flop this guy in here, just stacking up a thing. So I've got a little soundscape, remember? Oh yeah, I made some music too, and I think like at some point I need to resample a loop of that music.
Oh yeah, huh? So you can just kind of play it on repeat as
Well,
part of the background.
yeah, okay, to recap, one of the things that was fun and funky about the music is that this thing that I made, I haven't played it yet on the stream. Here it is. If you'll recall, this is my KK slider type beat. So the thing that's cool about this, or I think it's cool about this, you don't have to think this is cool, but I have it randomly selecting syllables. So it's actually, the melody repeats every time, but the words are randomized. So it actually doesn't repeat ever. So I love stuff like this because it lets me generate this long idea and like it'll feel different over time. But I think that like a really common thing that you might think to do if you are a person who generates a lot of random stuff is that then sometimes you want to edit the randomness down to something that's more coherent. And so I am going to just resample this thing. So I made a new audio track and just gonna hit record. Here we go. Oh, set the input to resampling though. You can't just label the thing and hope that it understands what you're talking about. Here we go. Since I'm not recording anything, I can talk over this. I could probably even turn the output down. Like, we can just let this roll for a while. How long of a scene do you think this is going to be, Jay?
Probably pretty short. I was thinking we might record some dialogue, or it'd be nice to get like an idea of like, okay, it's like a short conversation kind of thing, and then we can just sort of play with that. So, you know, can probably do like a minute.
Okay, you got it. We're
Shoot for a minute.
cool. 40 seconds and counting.
I'm actually having a brain fart here. So, this is one of those teachable moments that I've done this a million times and I don't honestly remember how to make glass. So, I'm gonna go look it up.
Woohoo!
So, what I usually do is, so this particular render engine is fairly new from Blender, called Eevee. So it's a little bit different way of setting up textures and things. Although with reflective materials and stuff like that, like I've done this a million times, but I always forget how to do it. So there's no shame in admitting that you forgot something and have to go look it up.
Oh.
Because I watch tons and tons of Blender tutorials, even though I've used Blender for probably close to 10 years. I still forget how to do some of the most basic things sometimes.
I also watch a lot of Ableton tutorials, even though I've been using Ableton for 10, 15 years or so. There's always something new to learn. And luckily, they keep changing the program too, so like they keep you on your they keep you on your toes. I don't think Ableton hasn't done anything that's really thrown me for a loop, but they every once in a while move where something is. They haven't really changed too much about workflow or processes, thankfully. Yeah, this looks extremely complicated. This thing that you have up on the screen, though, Jay.
Oh, so these are material nodes.
Yeah.
They can be a little bit intense. It's these can be built out to huge trees of nodes and create what they call procedural textures.
Okay.
And yeah, this is how you do that.
Okay.
So, oh yeah, 2D artists, you forget like what does a hand actually look like? Like I see my hands every day, but how do I draw them? I gotta remember that technique, and like it really is a process. And like we have the internet at our fingertips now. It's going and looking stuff up is never, rarely ever is that not an option. It's so like I'm sitting here, I'm watching this video that I probably have watched, like I said, 20, 30 times, and gotta remember where all the checkboxes are and what button to press to set it up correctly. I think that I can. No, that breaks it.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I will entertain everyone. Oh yeah, hands are definitely one of the most difficult things.
I wanted a keyboard.
Oh, okay.
It just occurred to me. Remember I made 2 songs last time?
Mm-hmm.
I have this other. That one's a KK Slider type beat. This is a Lazy Town type beat, I guess.
Oh yeah. What am I missing?
So I was thinking I'd put some vocals in there.
Ooh. From the same way that you did before.
Mm-hmm.
If I went to the right thing here.
This is interesting. This is not the USB cable that came with this keyboard. Where did this come from? This must have been one of the ones that got loaned out.
Oh. Oh, the keyboard.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. No harm done. As long as the cable works, I guess. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Probably does.
Bring down the roughness, turn up the transmission. Did all that. What am I missing? Aha! See, there's one button on here. I don't need these. I need to go into my material view. So, like, some of the settings that are here or that are here are not here. And that's where it gets a little confusing. You have to come in here and turn this on. And then, oop, I was not patient enough with it. We should, there we go, see something. It does not look like it is actually reflecting anything through. where it is, and I am blind. This is what I want. Transmission all the way up. It's sort of reflecting. Oh, there, we can see into the diner. We just have to be closer. So why can't I see outside? Does it not reflect these textures? Yeah, this shader is kind of weird in Eevee, which Eevee is kind of like it's the render engine for like by default now for Blender, and Cycles, the other one, is much more realistic. So I can go up here and I can change these. I don't know what this is gonna do, but yeah. So you can see my computer's gonna get upset, but this is still clear. I can still see through this much better, and now I get like reflections of the actual room and stuff through the window and of the background.
Whoa.
It's a little funky, but I'll go back to Eevee, see if I can get a similar. Maybe it doesn't reflect. It looks pretty good looking in, but not looking out. But I guess that's not a big deal. There's probably some stuff in here that I can change to fix that. There's probably a better way. Edge fading.
All right. I'm jamming on this thing here.
Okay. Not sure why it's doing that weird. But, you know, it's process of trial and error. I haven't done a lot of glass stuff with Eevee, so this is all a new. Oh, whoa. Interesting. Just doesn't want to reflect what's outside. I don't know if that's something to do with the object itself. So let's like spin it around just to see what happens. It does the same. Yeah. So it's something to do with the textures. It may not reflect textures. But like it looks really good looking in. It looks like a window. Kind of just makes it fuzzy. But not quite what we wanted. So, I mean, if it's dark outside most of the time, the dark windows reflect what's in the room. So we can probably get away with making this more. It's probably not the setting I wanted to change. Making this reflect more. Can we turn the roughness up? It doesn't like that, does it? We make it more like a mirror and reflect what's inside. We may just not have to actually do anything on the outside. If this even works for us, which it doesn't seem to want to. That reflecting anything? Does not look like it. So we can reset these. We can, you know, add in a new. Well, I'm curious what the glass. See that kind of reflects. You can see the lights, but you can't see anything else. Oh, see this looks. Yeah, this is a good. Oh yeah, Cory's doing his thing while I'm rambling. See, it bugs me that it doesn't reflect, or it doesn't allow textures to go through, and I don't know why that is. But
oh yeah, it's like masking the. That's trippy.
Yeah,
it's just like it's not doing like that.
Like it looks great from the outside looking in. You
Yeah,
know,
totally.
you kind of get that.
Yeah, it's
It looks
diffused
like
a bit.
piece of glass, but
That's really weird.
not looking out. But I guess that's fine. That looks like, you know, it's outside kind of thing.
Is what it is.
I don't need my.
You could pull some like blinds down or something like that. You know.
Yeah, and probably find something to hide it, which is the. You know, totally reliable technique. You can hide your mistakes in. For some reason, these windows are wider than those other windows. Don't know why. Maybe I'm just not. There we go. Good enough. This won't be the next Pixar short film, but it'll be something. That looks fine.
That's not going to be the next Pixar shortcut film?
I don't know. I mean,
There's
we'll
still
have to
time.
work on it for a few years, but maybe. So I'm just gonna add in a ceiling here too. It's gonna be super basic, just to kind of actually get the lighting correct. So I'm essentially just going to put this over this, like a roof. It doesn't really matter too much because I don't have doors yet. But now our sun, I actually want to make sure that these aren't casting any shadows, and we can change that. We can change that in here, where shadow mode none. And oh, maybe. Ooh,
Can you do that like per object?
maybe that's
Oh.
that's their problem.
Yeah.
There we go. So what was wrong with was the blend mode was set to alpha clip, and I guess, or what was it? Was it alpha clip? Alpha blend. And it doesn't like that for some reason. Couldn't tell you why, but it doesn't like that. Well, there's our cars. Cool.
So can you like is all the glass like the is all the
Sorry.
glass the same texture and like could you like make it all like yeah. I was curious if you could make it
Like
like
a
all
little rough. You can up the
smokier or like whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, trippy. That's like some crazy distortion.
So IOR is like a real. It's the index of reflection. I am. It's actual technique in. It's very weird, but you can see there are scientific
the
like
index of reflection.
measurements for
Yeah.
IOR. There we go. Like what the ratings are. So glass is what 1.5. So we can actually set this in here to be glass. And then
Oh yeah, there we go. And we're getting some of those like interior reflections that look more appropriate and it like clear like a real distinction between the open door
yeah.
and the glass. Maybe it's like a little like smokier looking than you'd hope or something. But maybe that's just the really brightly lit interior. Do you know what I mean? Like
See, we can change the render views a little bit. Some of these might be more accurate. Yeah. I think that's why. So we could go back and instead of using the glass.
oh,
here,
did changing the roughness do something? Did you just
yeah, that's what makes it kind of like.
Okay, yeah.
But we could add that now that we know what the problem was. We can come in here and add this back on and turn our transmission back up and then go in here and roughness down. So now we're back to the old glass. And
Yeah, that's just like straight up.
Yeah.
I think that's like what I'm expecting is like I think I'm seeing the render engine and it's doing something that I'm not expecting.
So that's the same, the roughness here.
Yeah.
I think that you can, so this has an IOR setting too. So maybe we'll go like 1.6. And then I think this is the same. So yeah, it's also, so you can kind of just like play with it until it's, I do wish that it reflected more of the inside. I mean, you can kind of see, it doesn't, maybe if we were in cycles, it might actually reflect more of the inside of the yeah. So you can see the in the windows, you can see that.
Yeah.
Which is what we want, but I think there is a way that we can emulate that in here. But we're kind of getting into like this is pretty more advanced. My computer over here is like having a very tough time with
Nice.
with the reflections and everything. But
What happened here? Anyone want to guess? Something very like I just resampled this. Listen to this.
weird. What was that?
Um,
How did?
I it's clearly being played backwards, right?
Yeah.
I have no idea why. Man.
Is it in reverse?
Oh, weird. I mean, yes, it is for
Oh.
sure. I have no idea why though.
I don't think I'm going to do anything too fancy for the... do I... I think we'll probably have... I'm not going to spend too much time like setting up the doors. I think we'll probably just have the characters already inside. That way I don't have to get too fancy here.
Oh my god. Okay.
Red door.
Totally. Okay, so like I have like some sort of, you know, we obviously we don't like it's not really time for me to like put anything on a timeline or nothing like that, but I'm sort of got a collection of my ambiances. I have my score, I have my ambiance. So now it's probably time for me to start like thinking about sounds. At this point it's probably more about like not like a shot list, but like a sound cue list, right? And sort of making some big picture choices about like what sorts of things am I going to do and how am I going to do it. You know, like generally we're not doing Foley for things while they're being modeled.
Right.
We're doing
right.
Foley when things move, but you know. That being said, like you know, you could like we could acquire like a few random sort of like probably this door is going to open and shut. We might want to know what that sounds like, you know. But again, like I'm like making a list. I'm gonna actually literally make a list. Oh, hello.
Excuse me. Whoa. Where? There we go. Let's see, that looks pretty good. Focus on that. Make a little doorknob here.
I gotta do a thing real quick. Nobody look at my Apple ID. Nobody do it.
Door, sign.
Oh, there we go.
New.
There we go.
Door 2. Make this silverish.
So, I'm thinking like, here's my Foley list. So we got objects that might get interacted with, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, plates, cups, silverware. I've heard we're gonna get some. We need some sounds of some doors. And then like presumably footsteps on linoleum.
Right there. What's that? -1. Ah.
Sitting on vinyl seats.
That one will be interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna just get up and down off that couch a few times, I think.
I'm gonna hide. Let's see. I'm gonna hide this stuff. So anything you actually hide while you're working. So there's a few different ways you can hide things to make your life easier while you're working on stuff. I'm gonna actually move these to a collection of their own. I'm gonna right click and go to move to collection, shortcuts M. I'm gonna make a new one. I'm gonna just be like, these are like my backgrounds. So hit OK. now they're in their own collection, and I can just hide them all away when I don't need them, which is nice. Makes it a little easier. Um, so if I use the eye over here, they hide from the view. If I use the camera, they hide from the render but show in the view. So you can kind of, you know, if you have, say, a reference item somewhere, or like a, um, if you're like have a whole bunch of objects and you have one that you don't want to render, you can check that, you know, that little camera, and then you're set. But like if I were to render this right now,
You'd have some like dead space, right?
yeah, well you'll see that it will still show. Oh, I'm in super low resolution. Let me change that. And then I think I may have messed with our. But you'll see that there's, you know, you can see the background and you can see the car thing right here.
Yeah.
But it's not there in this. So like you can still hide stuff and then it will show up.
Okay.
So pretty useful. You can, you know, hide everything that you don't.
Yeah, you don't need
in
to
the
stare at that
moment.
ceiling.
Right, the ceiling just kind of gets in my way, so I'm gonna hide
But
it.
its lighting effects are still being calculated, it looks like. Or
That's a
no?
good question, actually.
Because it kind of like you see how like that like dark band around the.
I think I think you're right. I think it still does. If we, yeah. So, could we see where? Of course, that's just like I should be naming these, but I'm not. So there's the door. There's the roof. Yeah, it sure looks like it is. So, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the 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 lights don't do that, but the objects seem to. So let's move this back into place. On the Z, grab on Y. Door doesn't really quite fit, but we can fix that because I don't think all the doors will open. Just kind of want to get a reference here. So yeah, I think let's get down here and render a quick scene. I might do a few little props here and there, but I want to go see what this will look like. Let me go to layout here and get a bigger view. Yeah. So we have some issues with our shadows and stuff. Let's see if we can fix that. But we're getting somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Looks like something.
Yeah. I think one of our problems is like turn down the subsurface scattering, I believe, is what is making that look weird. All like jagged and stuff. So this is sort of like our anti-aliasing. I don't remember what this is by default. See if I can reset to default value. Oh, it is 7. I know we are like looking. Oh, here it is. Sampling was what it was. I can actually add some viewport sampling as well, but not really necessary. There we go.
Much better. There's still something going on there, yeah.
Yeah, so you can see that these aren't actually like touching the table is the problem. So if I come over here and focus on this, I can grab those and slide them down a little bit.
Is there a way to get it to just like snap to the top of the table or something like that?
Yeah, so there's, as long as your origin point is in the right place, which is this little orange dot.
Yeah, like at the very bottom or whatever.
Yeah, you can turn this little magnet tool on, and it will snap to different surfaces. Okay. So like I can tell it what to snap to here. So volume or face or whatever.
Totally. But if you like messed up and the origin point was not on the surface of that object, if it was somewhere in the middle of the object, then it would clip through.
So if I grab this and it's gonna be a little weird because there we go. Oh, it's trying to. So if I grab it like this and then go back into object mode, and now I try to move it, you see it's, oh well, if I turn the snapping back on, oh well, I guess I'm wrong. It does try to actually snap to.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I was under the impression that it really mattered that where your origin point was. I mean, it does, but
not for this thing. Yeah, that's pretty neat. So it's like actually like just like putting the two nearest like planes together.
Yeah, well, that's good to know.
Super
Cool.
handy.
And there's some other things that we could turn on. You can see we're getting some weird shadows here.
Yeah.
Check our lighting and see what it looks like in our render here. Yeah, so
Yeah, what's causing that ring?
so like say we were to switch this into cycles and render this, it's gonna look totally different.
Uh-huh.
Like my computer is lagging. You can see my like webcam, it's lagging all of OBS. I hope you guys can still hear me. This is probably not a good idea to render in cycles while on stream. But
Yeah.
you can kind of see that
Yeah.
it's the shadows are much better.
Mm-hmm.
It would help if I actually GPU rendered instead of
CPU.
CPU rendered.
That would definitely help.
That's what OBS is like freaking out about.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
There we go.
Yeah, that makes more sense to me too.
So of course this is gonna look a lot better. Cycles is the kind of the preferred way to render stuff, but it's not as fast as Eevee. And Eevee can do a really good job if you set it up right. So
It's so interesting that like I'm used to rendering audio like 2 times speed or something like that. It's like it's just fascinating how just CPU, GPU intensive this stuff is. There's like very little like relatively speaking, audio processes are so simple.
right.
Or they're like just like not very resource intensive. Oh yeah. See, that thing looks totally normal.
Yeah. So, there's some things that we can fix, or we can do to fix that.
I feel like it was kind of taunting us and like waiting until like the last 3 squares to render the part that we wanted to see.
Oh, yeah. I think you can tell it exactly
Yeah.
where. There's like a, now I'm going to be like looking for it. There's a thing in here that you can turn on that is for contact shadows. We probably turn on high quality normals.
Y'all, I really blew it. I'm making my Foley list, and I'm like, I realized I forgot something really important. So
What's
there's the plates and the cups, and like you usually see these plates on plates, like they're stacked on each other. That means they're like like they're likely to interact, but those things are also going to interact with the surfaces they're on. And we have a bunch of the same duplicated plates and cups, but there's 2 different surfaces. Like it's possible these tables are like MDF and linoleum.
Mm-hmm.
But like that looks like a linoleum countertop for sure, and wooden tables. Like that's like, do you know what I mean? Like my gut instinct is that that's what I'm seeing. And so like cups on like setting a cup down on a linoleum countertop sounds different than on a wooden table. And like with animation, you have a lot of, honestly with like film, you have a lot of leeway too, but like you don't always have to be, it doesn't, Foley isn't about getting the exact right things together. It's about just making a sound that sounds believable. But like just being mindful of like, if you want this to be believable, then setting that plate down there and setting it down on the table are going to sound different, and you need to plan for that accordingly. So I'm like looking around, I see an MDF table, and I see I got a wooden table right here.
Nice.
And I see over here MDF with vinyl top, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like cataloging all these things around, like just being mindful of where these different surfaces are and what they're going to be like. Another one that's on my list that I didn't say out loud is like, there's these vinyl seats, but there's 2 different kinds, right? There's the booths and there's the stools. And the stools are like those like old school metal 50s diner stools. They swivel, I assume.
That's kind of what I was picturing too.
And so when you sit on those things, not only do the seat squish, but they tend to turn a little too. Whether that action would take place on the screen in the animation, I don't know, right? But like they're not the kind of chair that like scoots back and you sit in and then it scoots forward. And like boom, you'd have to make that sound. If the character scoots the chair back before they sit in, there's not just a sitting down sound, there's a scooting around sound. Because these chairs don't scoot, they swivel. And so we want some sort of rotating metal on metal sound,
There we go. Interesting.
Contact shadows.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
What?
It's a weird setting, and I didn't realize that it's in the lights themselves. So that's the thing with Eevee. There's a lot of these little like check boxes, hidden places that turn the features on that you think would be default.
Or that would all be in one place.
Right. But see, that's
Yeah.
quite a bit better. There's some weird
Wow.
artifacting between the
Yes.
glass, but
A significant improvement,
yeah,
though, in the
so
whole
this is
render.
pretty good. Yeah.
It's so interesting though. It's really like it's just like it's just less real than the other engine.
Oh yeah.
It
Well,
really
so Cycles actually calculates light bouncing around a scene.
so
Like
that's
it
the
is a
ray. It's like the full ray
yep.
tracing thing.
It's a full-on ray tracing engine. This is just kind of guessing, sort of. I mean, it still
Right.
does, but it tries to be
Cut as many
you
corners
know,
as possible, kind of thing.
yeah, I mean, it's like a game engine
Yeah.
essentially.
So like light will go, but it won't like scatter. Like it's not actually bouncing off a lot of these surfaces in the way
Right.
that like maybe it's being emulated somehow or something.
Yeah. So that's like a thing that you turn on. So you can
Okay, okay.
yeah, when I go in here and I can turn off ambient occlusion, which essentially adds like shadows in crevices and creases and things.
Uh-huh.
I can turn off bloom, which there's not a lot of bloom in this, but if I had a bright light or something that
Yeah.
was glowing, I can turn off the screen space reflections, which is the windows.
Uh-huh.
I can turn off, volumetric lighting and shadows. I can turn all this stuff off,
Yeah.
and like it's obviously the windows aren't going to work, and like it's
Right,
a
it's
lot
like
flatter.
Total. Yeah. Flat is the word for
So
sure.
yeah, but all these are like in motion blur. These are all
So volumetric, is that like it's taking into account like how far it's or like what does that mean exactly? Volumetric
the
shading.
volumetric is
I'm
like
curious about that phrase.
um
I'm looking it up.
essentially yeah, it emulates like real life. There's particles in the air, right? So there's a volume to the air. So like when you see God rays, in the woods and it's kind of misty, that mist is that volume
Yeah.
that the light is reflecting off in the air. So
Totally. Wikipedia has
you
a
know.
really succinct explanation here.
Oh well, there you go.
Check this out. In volumetric lighting, the light cone emitted by a light source is modeled as a transparent object and is considered as a container of a volume. As a result, the light has the capacity to give the effect passing through an actual three-dimensional aerosol that is inside its volume. So basically, like the cone is rendered as an object, and that object has like an opacity, basically, like more or less. I think is the deal.
So what I just did here was added the depth of field too, so you can already see it.
Yeah.
So here's the plates. They're in focus, but
Super
the
cool.
background's out of focus.
God, it helps so much.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more real.
Yeah, and just like watching, like looking at it's super cool. Like looking at the edge of the countertop and just watching it like blur.
Oh yeah,
like
fall off right after.
Yeah, it's really neat.
So this is a super basic scene, but with those things turned on, can make it look pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then I've just have this empty here, and I can scoot this wherever I want. So say I can turn my snapping back on, and I want it to focus over here.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Now we have a kind of, and I can move this while we're live. You can rack focus between two things.
Fun.
So, yeah, it's a really cool little effect.
I've been playing with the AI on my phone. Does that now too?
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's a new mode on the new iPhones that like.
Oh, right. The
cinematic
the focus
mode
thing.
Yeah, where it all like it's pretty fascinating. But like totally, it's more fun if you have control over it. And,
right.
You like trusting a system to do what you think it's wanted to do is like never really that great. But it's fun to play with for sure.
So what I'm gonna try to do, I want to blur these a little bit, just by default, the background, because even when it's like focused back here, I feel like it's too evident that it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is a blur, maybe, or like. See, let's see, another thing I gotta look up. Um, Blur, texture, and blender. Let's see. There's always a way to do it. It's just a matter of knowing what the process is. And it's not a simple one. Lovely. Let's see. These are all old. There is a blur node. Is there? I did not see it.
Blur node.
Blur? Nope.
Duh.
What is this? Filter node. Oh, that's a whole nother thing. That's not what I want. That's compositing. What could we do with this? Procedural texture blurring? You'd think it'd be a pretty simple thing. I could just take it into Photoshop and blur it, but yeah, it's a whole process to like go to a different program. So, how do I want to do this? I like having the cars out there. Blur texture. I hear plates.
I'm listening to some plate sounds. These are all like so specific. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I listen to these things, and, like that last one was all right. Like putting a fork down on a plate, that was like manageable. But like all these feel like really like super specific. Like that's okay, maybe. But you know, I'd be taking these and I'd be chopping them up and I'd go placing them just so on the timeline, and like by the time I got it just right, like it would have been faster for me just to set up a mic and watch the animation and clank some cups around.
Right,
You know?
right.
It's like it's a performance, and that's like the real art of it is like it's created, but you have to make it feel in sync. That like the easiest thing to do is just do it, you know, recreate the action. You could kind of like do a hybrid approach by like maybe gathering a bunch of samples and then like mapping them to like a MIDI keyboard where it could like trigger them at the right moment. If you like can't record a plate, that's a good option. But like I figure if you have a MIDI keyboard, you probably have a microphone and a plate. And if not, you know, you can borrow my mic and plate.
Yeah.
I'll trade you. You know, most of us have a microphone somewhere, whether that's like in our phone or our tablet or computer. And a poorly recorded sound cue is a lot more believable than an absent sound cue. So,
Maybe
well,
I'll just make this dark.
depending.
Huh. That could work better. Just make it a little darker. I'm surprised there's not a blur node in here. That's honestly surprising to me.
I wonder if there's something that does it similar but it's just labeled differently or something.
Yeah, could be. Could be in here somewhere. I didn't see it looking it up, but
That's
it could be
tricky.
hidden.
Yeah, that's weird. It seems weird. It seems like a pretty obvious thing to want to do.
Yeah, but that's okay. So we've kind of got something going on. Oh yeah, wanted some silverware. Let's do silverware real quick, and then I think I want to start on a character.
Okay.
At least like get something started this week.
Nice.
So let me add in. I might. What do I want to do here? How do I want to make some silverware? So just go the basic route. Bring this up here.
While Jay's doing this, I'm like gonna start like getting my 1 minute thing together. So Jay just gave me the random, like the time of 1 minute. That's adjustable, of course, but I'm just going to, so I've gone in and I've created a couple locators up here in Ableton. I'm a fan of doing this when you're trying to set how long something is. You can just right click and say select the next locator and then export a selection that's the same exact length every time without having to guess or do anything weird. And so it's just a helpful way to just ensure that your renders or your exports remain consistent. So I resampled a slightly longer portion of this tune just in case, so I can like have it start wherever. Like I can have this tune start at the downbeat. But when you walk into a diner, they don't start the music playing for you when you walk in the door. So you're more likely to come in the middle of the song. And so like, if the idea is that this music exists in the world of the animation, it's more realistic if it doesn't start at the beginning. In my opinion. Now, like I'm assuming that if this was like a complete concept, like there would maybe look at that there would be like some like maybe brief title, in which case I could like fade this in.
Oh, that's right. We need the jukebox. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Did someone just remind you about that?
Mm-hmm. Mortimer reminded.
Mortimer's on it. Yeah, we did have a conversation about that last time. I never made it in. Neat. It's really trying with those shadows.
Oh yeah, I could probably just.
Oh, that's whatever.
There we go. Might run a little better actually.
It's a fun effect.
Oh yeah, it still tries to do shadows a little bit, but
it's like interesting, just like noise. So I'm just gonna fade this in and out. Well, okay. Something to think about: fade versus filter. Because we're trying to create like a realistic energy. So like, the scene probably like, if the scene starts with the camera in the diner, fade is probably the appropriate thing. If the scene started with the camera outside the diner and walking in, we might do a thing where instead of just turning like the music on the jukebox down, we might also filter it a little bit. Because when you're outside a building, frequencies don't all move at the same way, and they don't move through masses the same way. Low frequencies move further and tend to transmit through walls and stuff like that better. So if we were hearing this song through a wall, you're gonna hear some of those highs reduced as well. It's also a good way, just like it's just an alternative to turning volume down if you want to like pull something away from the attention of the listener without, So you could do jukebox, but you could also do like radio. Mm-hmm. So like something I'd think about here too is like I can sort of use EQ or a filter to kind of set the size of this radio. Like if it's a small radio, I might really filter it hard. There's someone's like crummy speaker, So I may choose an effect like that depending on where this music is supposed to come from. But it's here. Like I'm assuming it's gonna fade in, so I'm just gonna set it up with a fade. So I did we grabbed some like nighttime ambience kind of stuff, and I might think about just chucking those in and like.
Oops.
Oh my god.
Loud.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right though. But you might hear some like crickets, like. So I'm thinking like some quiet crickets and maybe this like sort of diner sound that I thought would work. Okay, cool. This isn't long enough, so we gotta just like loop it. We're gonna see about fading it.
Do forks have 3 prongs or 4?
I see them commonly. 4 is more common, but 3 is a thing for sure. So let's see it. Let's check this crossfade real quick. This is definitely an important thing. If you're fading like a background texture together, it might be whack.
It's gonna look weird here.
Seamless. So cool. So here's our like working in the diner sound. It's gonna loop like once and then play a little longer.
Usually 4. Okay. Could have just looked up a reference, but I was being lazy.
So those crickets are kind of cool, but they sound fake because they sound like they're in the room. So I'm gonna filter that sound a bit. Sounds like almost nothing. That's fine. I'm really just like a lot of this is just about creating noise. Like it doesn't have, like it's honestly like not a huge deal that it's one sound or another. Like I could just honestly, like you could put in white noise here and it would do a similar job. I'm just trying to get something happening, you know? So there's a moment in that thing where that loud sound happened, I didn't like it, so I just got rid of it. And so I like this sound, I think. But here's what's wrong with this. Like, if it's happening away from me, it's like way too bright and high. There's too many high frequencies in there. It sounds like it's happening really close to me. So if we reduce some of those highs, it should give the effect of feeling further away. I'm gonna use a high shelf, because I don't want to cut them, I just want to reduce them. I'm actually gonna pull out the channel EQ because it has this cool hybrid curve on the highs.
Didn't think a fork would be so challenging. It's always the little stuff. Yeah, that's pretty close.
I'm pretty happy with this ambience. Check this out. Here, like without the music and then with it. Kind of sounds like maybe there's someone in the kitchen. Like 2 people having a conversation. If you really pay attention, you can hear that there's more, but it's like, okay. And then the music's gonna mask that a bit too.
Uh-huh. I want to Alt-S-Z. A weird shortcut, but oh. No GeForce experience, go away.
You're not trying to have a GeForce experience right now?
I guess they wanted to. Oh, that's not the desired effect. I just want to scale on the Z. There we go, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I get obsessive over the fork.
Fork stream. stay tuned next week when we will spend the entire stream modeling a knife.
The knives are easy. The forks are the spoons and knives are easy.
Yeah,
for
totally.
some reason. These are got more pieces.
It's tricky to make a fork that looks just right. It's tricky.
Yeah, that's good enough. We got to make the fork a main character.
Okay. You rig up a character that's just made of forks,
The giant fork.
or just like their bones are all forks, you know.
Next.
That would be fun, like from a sound perspective. I would enjoy just getting all of the forks in the building and clattering them around in front of the mic. That sounds pretty fun.
And now the knife is straight, just all about not being symmetrical.
Right.
It's the only thing that's special about the knife. Scale it on.
The only thing that's special about the knife. Otherwise, just a very non-special knife.
Mm-hmm. Just the butter knife. Yep, they're the only non-symmetrical utensil. Like so. There it is.
Beautiful.
So, we have some silverware. That looks pretty... Yeah, maybe they're a little small. Ammo. Scale. I want to... Whoa. That's not at all what I wanted to happen.
Old chubby spoon. I have a hard time fitting that one in your mouth.
Yeah, swords are just really big, sharp butter knives. Pretty much. There we go. I'll just do it that way then. Cool. Yeah. Alright, we got some random silverware. Guess I'll apply, get a quick material for these. Make them gray with some metallic, so they're a little bit shiny. Silver and silver. I can shade these smooth if I want to. Make them
Yeah, that helps.
shade these. Yeah. Fork's looking a little weird, but I'm going to spend all day working on the fork.
Yeah, you said you were gonna. Just love this. You have to edit the title of this one.
All about the forks.
Fork modeling in Blender.
They all have like a weird curve. That's a little better.
Yeah. Man, ergonomics of silverware is a whole weird thing. Do you have like a fork in your like silverware drawer Harm, that you hate? Or something like that? Like
when they're like the little tiny salad forks that get mixed up with the big forks. Those are always annoying because I'm like, why? Why does there need to be two separate forks for different food?
we have a few of these forks at home that are just like the end of them, like not the tines, but the other end is like really heavy. So they just like want to like fall. Like if you try and like set them on like a bowl, they want to like fall out. So like I don't use them because I'm afraid of like accidentally like flipping food out of a bowl. You know, they're just like you just like can't like set your. It's like a fork that you can't set in a bowl. Which I eat most of my meals out of bowls.
So that kind of ruins it for you, huh?
Yeah, I really hate it.
I think for the sake of time, I'm going to try to find a jukebox. Is it jukebox? How do you spell it?
Yep, Juke.
Juke.
Yeah,
Juke.
Since those things are like pretty, they can be kind of I don't know if are you looking for one to just drop in?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say they can be kind of complicated,
Yeah.
and that you might have an easier time doing a radio from scratch, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just try to find one. but there's none on Turbo Squid. For free, at least.
Got yourself a radio.
Oh yeah, radio. Maybe I'll do a radio.
Like another option could be like, you know, you could just do like some little speakers like mounted up in the corners.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like those like a lot of the times like restaurants have those little like I've seen them. I feel like they're like bows, like little like almost like little like black cues, like a cloth grill, like restaurant speaker. Like I bet if you can find it. You might find just people speaking at restaurants or something.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Something like this. They're a little big, but they're like the ones we have.
That is definitely not what I was picturing. Can you see my screen?
I can. Let me switch here.
This is exactly what I was picturing.
Oh.
This is a very low res image. It doesn't want to pull up a higher res one, but
oh yeah.
That is like literally the image I had in my mind.
Okay.
Or like you can even do them simpler.
I could just make one of those.
Yeah, it was what I was saying. If you needed to like do it from scratch or whatever.
Yeah.
Do I not have an internet connection? Oh no, it's just a bunch of these links are bad. Yeah, these kind of like nondescript sort of like black shapes. Yeah, little speakers like that. And so like they tend to be like wall mountable or like, you know, they get tucked up in corners, you know, mounted at an angle.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I made a mistake.
Although I have seen people with like little HS5s like mounted, or you know, because you know they make those like mounted ones. Like I've seen images of like people with those mounted around. I think that's absurd though.
I just like.
It's what we do if we were gonna get our 5.1 monitoring together.
Oh yeah.
Though we'd definitely do it with H series monitors. It's probably the cheapest, most effective. We already got 4 of them, you know. So we need just one more HS5 and the sub, and we'd have a 5.1 system.
We'd be set, huh?
Yeah. I mean, we already have a 4.0 system, which is cool. There's a lot that can be done with 4 speakers too. Like, you know, like the center speaker's handy, but like 5.1 mostly gets used like the 5 is the centers, right? So stereo, and then quad sound just adds 2 speakers in the back. The 5 and 5.1 is a center speaker in the middle in the front, and then the 0.1 is a subwoofer. So, you know, like we listen to stereo music without a center speaker all the time, and we have like there's the term for the effect is phantom center. When we hear the exact same things coming out of both of the speakers, and we're sitting in the right spot, it sounds like it's coming from in between them. If you've ever had this phenomenon, if your speakers are positioned right, if you've ever been in the MARZ studio where they are positioned right, and you're looking at the monitor, when you're sitting in the right spot, it should sound like the sound is coming out of your screen and not from the speakers at all. That's the phantom center.
Oh.
I get it at home. My setup's just right, and it's a totally when it sounds right, it like just straight up sounds like sound is coming out of my computer display, which it's definitely not. So the reason you have a 5-point system is so that you can feed, like it's for film, so you can feed dialogue mostly to the center speaker and keep other sounds out of there so that speaker is not trying to reproduce both the dialogue and other sounds. This isn't really a big deal because we listen to speakers reproducing dialogue and other sounds all the time. Anytime you listen to something, that's happening, you know? Like very rare that like sounds get their own speaker, if that makes sense. So, it's pretty much an exclusively film thing. So you could probably do a lot of what we were doing with 5.1 with 4.1. You just don't get that dedicated center channel. But you still get all that like spatialization where you can make things move circularly around somebody and do stuff like that. We should set it up. You know, we have 4 identical speakers. We should mess with it sometime.
That'd be cool.
The hard part about the hard thing about that is that I feel like that's kind of like to audio what like VR is to visual stuff. It's like. Oh. Like not only do you need a like physical setup that requires like space in a room to do correctly, and then if you want anyone to experience it, they need that too. You know, so you don't hear a lot of people doing spatialized music because most people don't have a way to listen to it. You know, like I guess you know like people have home theater 5.1 systems, but like how often are you sitting down on your couch in the sweet spot to listen to music in your home theater? You know,
right.
You can. If you really want to hear some jams, you should. I do sometimes, sit and listen to tunes in the sweet spot. Yes, Jay, this is exactly what I meant. Yeah, okay. This gives me something I can do now. I have the type of speaker, so these are small drivers mounted in poorly, right?
Should I leave only 2 in the corners, or should I do like that corner and this corner over here? Whoops.
Whatever. That won't affect my choice here. Okay. I'm not, we're not going so far as to like spatialize this in relation to the mic or anything like that. That's a whole other. I don't even know where to begin with that sort of thought. But I can see that I know that the speakers are small, and I know based on physics, small speakers can reproduce as low a frequency as you want, but they can't push them much air and make it heard very far away. You'll hear people say like, oh, small speakers can't reproduce bass frequencies. They're liars, and you can prove it wrong. Put on a pair of headphones. Those are pretty small speakers, and they reproduce bass frequencies just fine. So, prove somebody wrong sometime. So I want to make this music sound like it's coming out of a small speaker. I've already done that with the EQ. I've chopped out some of the highs and lows. The smaller the speaker, the less lows. That's a good, I should say the smaller the speaker and the further away, at a given distance, there's less lows, right? So I've already got not very much low, but I still feel like this feels like unrealistic, like it's almost like a little punchier. You hear how that kick kind of punches? I'm gonna filter that out somewhere. Like that kind of thing. And maybe I'll lose some of the highs too. Yeah. It's just so funny. I spent so much time making this thing with all the frequencies all expansive and full, and then I just carved away until it sounds like a tiny little thing that I can hide away in the background. This is the process, though. It's about making it believable. And since we've decided we're not licensing music or using free music, then this is just what it takes.
It needs to be darker in the diner here. I'm gonna make my lights their own collection as well. Where's my son? Where's my son? There it is. Whoops. Ah, darn it. I want that. I want this. I want this. I want that. And I want to hit M and a new collection, lights. And then I can see what my scene looks like here. Get a better angle.
Hey, check this out real quick.
Yeah.
I'm, you don't have to look, but I'm working on this, trying to get this ambience just right. So listen to this this clip of the diner that I found.
Uh-huh.
You hear how the fan whistles out a note?
Uh-huh.
You can hear it going, ooh, right? Super annoying. I don't want that. That's distracting to me. It's realistic, and a crummy recording in a crummy diner is going to sound like that. But this diner doesn't look like how that sounds to me. That sounds messy. This is all clean and tidy. And so I'm kind of maybe what can we get rid of that whistle and just have just noise? But I look at my EQ and I see this big spike here at 334 hertz. And it seems to be sort of fluctuating when I hear this tone. I'm fairly confident that's it right there. So let's check it out. So I'm going to, spoiler alert, it is it. There it is, right? 340 hertz or so, 330, somewhere in there. So now that I've found it, I'm going to tighten the Q of this EQ curve and cut it.
vocalist.
Just, you know, like the tone was really distracting to me. I want noise. I don't want tones. You know, like if we're like trying to capture the sound of a real diner, I'd let that be there, warts and all. But we're going for a little bit of like, this is I categorize this as hyper real, maybe, or like in the sense that it's like, we're going for realism to a certain extent, but like, it's definitely like not real. And so there's no need for me to try and make and leave this real for reality's sake.
I might come back and play with the sun a little bit and how it, well, in this case, the moon, I guess.
Right.
And whether I want,
Some moonlight.
Yeah, how I want to go about making this color, because I can go for more orange or more blue, which kind of makes more sense. And I can mess with the shadows here. See this? I can turn on the contact shadows too, which is good. I think most of the time that's like good to turn on.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of any downsides at the moment.
Maybe you'll think of some at some point.
Yeah. So I might turn these back down. Create our moody lighting.
I just had a thought of a cue that I'd look up. You know how we have those bells on our doors here?
Mm-hmm.
Let's find one of those. Like a real diner usually has some sort of noise. This is going to be hard to search for, though. Because if I look... Yeah. Right? You can imagine why.
Oh.
That was super fun. I'm like... That was super fun. I'm just going to download that. We'll turn that into music someday. It's a juicy tone. Shop doorbell. The sound of a bell on a shop door as someone enters the shop.
Okay. Oh, that's it, huh?
Ow!
It's very...
Okay.
They had that mic like right on it though, huh?
But like, so we're getting somewhere. I can't believe how easy this was. I searched for doorbell, 2 words, not 1 word, and that is why I'm getting good results. No. Shop doorbell. Cool. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is great. This is exactly what I wanted. Here is an example of some well-recorded, smart Foley. We're talking about how Foley is a performance, right? You might do some multiple takes of a performance to try and get the exact right thing you want. And then, when you have those multiple takes, they might work in other parts of your thing. So this person recorded 4 variations on this doorbell. And so that is super helpful if we want to have that same bell do something again and we want to use this person's sound and not a recording that we made ourselves. Now we have options and we can use it again and have it be a different sound. Super helpful. Thank you, 775 Noise. Appreciate it. I'm just going to grab a door sound too. Door sounds are very particular. Imagine all the kinds of materials that doors get made out of. Metal, glass, wood, varying degrees of each. They're framed differently. Like my house, I live in one of those Sunnybray houses that has it's all like a bunch of big windows up front. So my front wall of my house is pretty much just like frames with windows and a door. So when you shut the door, it goes ba-jong, and like as it rattles like 12 big panes of glass, and the entire front wall of my house shakes, you know? Like,
Oh my gosh.
it's crazy. Like, sounds like I'm slamming the door every time. Like, it's so, you know, like it's very particular, and like if you like if I made that sound for like one of the doors in here, that wouldn't be right. Like that door sounds kind of light, you know? That door is like small but heavy.
That one is only in my right ear.
Yes, mine too. So yeah, here's somebody's front door, a sliding door. I'm trying to find something that I can layer with that bell. That was okay. I'm gonna go with this one for now. I don't know. Do you have the front door modeled yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it wood?
It's over there. It's probably metal.
It's probably metal. Okay. Well, this probably isn't gonna work then.
Probably.
Because that sounds. We're gonna search metal door. Because it's like that specific.
I don't know if I like these.
Unlocking a big metal door.
Power of undo.
Don't like it.
Yeah, it's too loud.
Yowzer. Ah, closer. Metal hotel room door opening.
Oh, that's my problem.
I'm trying to think. Do we have a metal door here that we can do? It's a very big, heavy door though, and I think it might be like a little heavier. Like you might hear how heavy it sounds. You know, like stuff's real particular. That one's almost all right. Maybe I can demo a little bit of a technique for these things. So I like a couple of these door sounds that I've just heard, but what I don't like is how thin they sound. So I'm going to see if I can add some low end to these sounds and make them more useful. Let's see. Grab these doorbells as well while I'm here. So I made a new container track over here where I'm dropping some Foley. So now I've got like 3 container tracks. I've got a container track of ambience, I've got a container track of resampling music, container track of Foley. So let's bring this door over, and I'm gonna give this thing its own new track because we're going to treat it with some effects. Make sure it's not warped. So like that's all right, but it's just kind of like weak sounding to me. So I'm gonna try a couple different ways that I know about to add some weight to this thing. So the first and most basic trick that I think everyone should know is make a copy of the sound, pitch that copy down. This needs to stay at the same timing though, so I have to make sure to warp this. And because to be smart, I'm going to warp them both to make sure they're both. So now I have 2 of them. They should sound about twice as loud. But I'm going to take the second one and pitch it down. So when you change the pitch of a clip in Ableton, you change it by semitone. These are musical intervals. Very harmonious musical intervals to shift things by are 12 semitones and 7 and 5. Those are the most harmonious sounding ones. They're also kind of extreme. So 12 semitones is going to sound a lot lower. So it sounds like this. Sounds kind of weird because it's in Beats mode. Let's try Complex Pro. Cool, so we're getting some weight. When we layer these together, it sounds like this. much heavier than the original thing. We could try, just for fun, let's do this again. Down another octave. That's pretty extremely shifted. Try it in beats mode. Neat. See if I can delete transient. Yes, you can do this. I kind of forgot. I'm going to delete some of these transient markers so it sounds, I kind of totally forgot you could do this. But so like Live detects these markers where it thinks it should trigger something. I'm going to have fewer of them so it sounds less choppy. Sounds like a different door.
Oops.
Does this sound like a door in a diner? Absolutely not, though. You know what I mean? I would say this is not heading in the right direction. Right? So like there's something about the sound of that space that's not working for me. So what if I really only care about the weight in these big moments when the door really opens. So like what if we just use those parts in those moments? I've never done this particular thing before, but maybe it'll be cool. Nope. There's unnaturalness to that decay. So if we blend them in so they decay before the original sound does, maybe that'll feel a little more natural. Ooh. So the original sound, after. So we're getting some, yeah, it's not really going in a direction I think is good though. So let's try a different technique while we're demoing it on this. In Ableton, there is a plugin called Drum Bus. Drum Bus has a tool in it that is essentially a subharmonic synthesizer. So it'll take input and trigger a bass sound with it. If you turn up the boom control, you will hear this.
Wow.
But that's not what we don't. We're not trying to make a bass music, we're just trying to add some weight. So I'm going to shift this frequency as high as it goes. It only goes up to 90. This thing's designed to add sub, so we're going to kind of like. There's that 90. If we turn the decay down, it should blend in a little more naturally. So without it, and with it, that's A-okay in my book. You feel a difference there, Jay?
Oh yeah.
Much more of a thump. So there's a bunch of different kinds of tools to do this. Some of them do this more intelligently, and like they're called like a true subharmonic synthesizer will take the audio input that I'm providing and generate a note that's an octave below whatever the sound is I'm making. This is just generating a 90 hertz tone, but it's working fine for this use case. While we're here, I'm going to turn the dampening knob down and cut some of the highs out of this. I might even roll more highs out of it over here. Oh yeah, another thing now, before, like there wasn't really much low end to speak of. If I try boosting the lows in this, it doesn't really work great. I can like try and just add, a broad boost. It helps a little bit, but it doesn't help nearly as much as the drum bus, which adds that like thwack. You can see it in the EQ. There it is. Big 90 hertz spike. So I'm gonna go and like try and just make it sound less bright. Pretty pleased about that. So maybe I'll dial back that shelf a bit. So like this is gonna be like the sound of someone walking in. Again, I don't know if this is how this is gonna go. This is just what we're doing here. Oops, deleted my container track. Oh no, I didn't, okay. And then where's our bells? Are these them? Yes. So it's a bit loud, and I think it's a bit low. I feel like I'm hearing a higher ding 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 in my mind here. Here's where the music nerd in me gets like, I could tune this to the tune. But that's not how real life works. You know? But we're gonna do some more. So we have some sounds of the door opening, and obviously there's no animation for this, so this may all change, but we have the sound of the door opening and then the sound of the bell ringing. When does the bell start ringing? It starts ringing as soon as the door starts moving generally, right? So we'll line those up. And it needs to ring again when the door slams, right?
Yeah.
That's why this sounds weird. So remember, our buddy very graciously recorded multiple versions of this. So when the door slams, I don't have to recycle my sample. I just have a different one. I do have to make sure that I manipulate it the same way though. Because it would be very unbelievable if the bell changed sizes while the, you know, like a door opens with one size bell and shuts with another one. So in terms of a sound of somebody opening a door with a bell on it and then shutting it, this isn't too terrible, really. You know, I don't like what happens after the slam. There's like some footstep or something though. You hear all this like background noise in this thing? There's all this like ambient noise in this recording. It's a very noisy recording.
In the bell?
No, the like this thing. So it's like really conspicuously absent when you get rid of it, you know. So here I've like trimmed it out from in between the moments. So it's going to sound pretty wacky by itself. But in the context of everything else, you know, when there were other sounds and like maybe some more real noise, maybe we bring the music up a little bit. It's like there's a potential for it to start making a lot more sense. So I have this like other door slamming sound. And, you know, like if we're planning on our character leaving the scene later, I have it chucked over here just in case. Again, I don't even know what's going on. Jay, you're touching on something that I was thinking about when you were laying out that silverware earlier, which is that like in the real world, silverware isn't perfectly placed all in a neat geometric arrangement everywhere you have it.
Right.
And that like actually the entire thing about making this scene feel realistic is about having these objects laid out realistically in the area, you know. So like you know, having like unoccupied tables with like a table setting, like yeah, it makes a ton of sense, but like
they're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like, you know, maybe the wait staff was not having a great day and just threw all the silverware on the table
Totally.
however they wanted, or
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, I might put the spoon in the cup. I think I like that. Or even more of the silver. Well, we'll put the knife in the cup too. Give it to me. Cup is floating, so are all the plates. Good that I looked at this angle. Oops, not the window. So it's got some weird effects on it. So I can come in here and turn on my auto smooth normals for a lot of these. I don't know why this isn't just the default. It always looks better. But I can manually adjust like what's smooth and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good for this low poly stuff.
Super cool.
Plate is low poly and whatever.
Totally.
But yeah.
Is it easy to do stuff like I know those plates are all copies of each other?
Mm-hmm.
Like are they like referenced? Are they actually like the same object? Do you understand?
These ones aren't, but like the chairs are. So like if I were to edit these, they all edit at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So
I was gonna ask like, so that's just because you didn't bother to create them that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could have.
Sure.
But my instinct is to just Shift D, which is just a standard duplicate. It doesn't actually like keep a copy. So.
Totally.
But, it's. I could train myself to do, to use Alt D more, which I should probably, because then, when you're making scenes like this, you're gonna reuse a lot of the same assets. So.
Totally.
You're gonna.
Yeah, that's something I often wish, like in Ableton, like when you duplicate a clip, it becomes a distinct clip, and like a feature of some other audio editing programs is that you can have this kind of like linked editing, like it could have an actual duplicate of the clip somewhere that then you can edit, and it edits all instances of that clip. Ableton, if you're listening, consider offering that as an option, because it would make a lot of our workflows very convenient. Yeah, that would be neat. Yeah.
So I think for now, I mean, I've added some props. I probably would do more decorations on the wall and stuff, maybe some posters or thing.
Yeah, you could slap up some 2D stuff on there pretty quick though.
Yeah.
And make it feel vibey.
I might do that as we get further along. I know I mentioned that we do start the character today, but maybe we'll just wait till.
Yeah, it's 7, dude.
It's already 7. So.
Man, time really flies when you're doing this stuff though.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
So next week, I guess we'll continue on with this. If Cory's down with it, I think that we got a cool little series going here. So next week I'll try to get on to making characters. So I think we'll probably do 2 characters. Yeah, we might try out the scan thing. Cory's face. See how that.
If we have time.
Yeah, it's pretty quick, really.
Right. Yeah.
So we could try that.
I think it would be very funny.
Really, yeah, it's gonna be funny to begin with, but that will really. We could have a clone scenario where like you're already sitting at one of the tables and you walk in and there's like a confrontation between yourselves.
Sounds like my daily life.
You go and sit at one of the bar stools and you're like we could do a rack focus from here to the bar back here, and it's the same. It's you, but like maybe a different shirt on or something.
Oh yeah, just like a mustache.
Staring straight at the back of the head of the other. Yeah.
Man, all right, yeah. So we got a little plot going here.
Yeah, we got a plot. We got a plan.
I love it.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, well, stay tuned for that because it's going to be hilarious. It's going to be hard not to laugh while it's being
Oh
animated.
man, yeah, the facial mapping stuff is pretty funny.
Yeah, that was good.
Totally.
We'll definitely. I think we mentioned it on stream really quickly a few weeks ago, but we'll do that again.
Totally.
For sure.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
thanks y'all for tuning in.
Yeah.
Nice to have you here, Mortimer, bugging us. Come harass us anytime.
Yeah,
We are here
definitely.
every week. And yeah, tell your friends. We'll be here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Well, we will see y'all next week.
All right, y'all.
Very cool.
Till next time.
See ya. I gotta hit the transition button. I forgot. Here we go.